This is Euro Truck Simulator 2. Been having a lot of trouble with the streams lately. Don't know why. Okay, right. Before I start my new job, I think I'll get a bit of rest. So now it's early on in the morning. Leave my lights on. Start the truck. Right. See if we can get a good delivery here. Who's doing good work? Let's see what he's got over here. TradeX. See if we've got any decent jobs. Okay, all for 5 grand, small one. Take that into France, maybe. I want to go a bit more local. Oh, a quick one. Do a quick one.
Ready to roll.
Jobs. Okay. Is that trailer there? Redox. Sounds like a big bath soap. Oh, hang on, what we're doing. Right, there's my trailer. Do a hard left. Okay. Oh, what am I doing? I forgot how to drive. There we go. It's a bit harder to see in the dark. Okay.
Let's go.
Hook on. And off we go. It's so dark today. Nothing coming that way.
Turn right.
Nothing really coming that way. Don't make the fence.
Get ready to turn right.
Okay.
Turn right.
Turn right. Don't change on my lights. Right, I'm driving in a foreign land with a UK truck. So I'm right hand drive.
Go straight on.
In a left hand lane field.
At the roundabout, take the third exit. Never mind. I'll find a new route.
Oh. I'll do a U-turn.
Rerouting. When possible, make a U-turn.
Doing it, lady. Try not to bash my finger. There we go. Took the wrong exit.
At the roundabout, take the first exit.
Nothing coming.
Exit now. Keep right, and then exit right. Exit right.
God, it's so dark. Don't they have any lights in Germany?
Keep left, and then continue straight on. Go straight on. Caution. Please mind the speed limit.
What? Did I hit him?
Keep right, and then turn right. Turn right.
Fuck the police. They always try to throw me off. Oh, he looks at me. Okay. Mr. Policeman, now what? job on skills. I can't take that way. He's blocking that one as well. Police blocking that one.
Okay, let's find a new route.
Yeah, let's do that. I'll pull over. I'll find a new route. Let's have a look. This way.
Time to hit the road. Keep right, and then turn right. Turn right.
I'll find the new route. This is a hill and a half.
Get ready to turn right. Turn right. Caution, please watch the speed limit. Get ready to turn right. Turn right. Caution, please mind the speed limit. Caution, Please watch the speed limit. Get ready to turn right.
Big hill.
Turn right.
And what are you?
This is where it ends.
Okay, right there. Hey, excellent. Okay, that was excellent. Or wait to save that progress now. That was sweet. Can't up my driving skills yet. Okay. Right. So that was a success. Time for us to look at beer. Don't drink and drive, ladies and gentlemen. Don't drink and drive. Let's have a look at the job market, shall we? take that one.
Let's do this.
So, I didn't even see where that was. I bet it's 100 miles away.
Turn left.
It's probably hundreds of miles away. What time is it? So what we need a bit of radio on here, don't we? A little bit of radio. Can't have music because that's against YouTube.
Uncovered, like patriotic
Okay, so
alternatives,
talkie.
find much more dangerous undercover, which is what I monitor, which have a potential for terrorism. And it's not really surprising that they are in action, because they are trained to fight, and in many instances, as I said in the past, for instance in Italy, in Germany,
Caution.
they were used
Please mind
to
the
go
speed
to
limit.
fight as a freedom fighter in the war between Ukraine and Russia, together with the Anton battalion. So anything that you are seeing is much more deep is undercover.
Right. I'm amazed. My eyes have been opened. Thank you, Dr. Alberto Testa, who's a professor of applied criminology, specialising in studying far right activism. My eyes are being opened all the time. All week I've been looking at videos about black history and things that I had no idea about, Tulsa and Rosewood and places like that. So what else are we seeing here? Because on Matthew Thompson's video that he's put up online, someone's pointed this out. He said, I've just seen God Save the Queen being sung by people doing Nazi salutes. I mean, it's just... however, who cares says, I'm disgusted that you're painting one side as anti-racist even though they want to destroy statues, and you paint the other side as far-right because they want to protect the statues. Most of those will be veterans who were heroes when they were serving. I've seen lots of people, and when I walked past... I cycled in to work today, and I cycled past Trafalgar Square, and there were lots of people, or anti-protesters, I think they call themselves, counter-protesters, who were wearing the sort of maroon berets. They were obviously veterans, I would have thought.
Get ready
otherwise,
to
why would
turn
they be
right.
doing that, worn in that sort of paratrooper way? But maybe it's not everybody who's there, but there's a hardcore on both sides, and I'm convinced of this. It was the
Turn
hardcore
right.
who were at about 5-6 o'clock, which is why the police are saying everyone has to disperse at 5 o'clock in London tonight. It's the hardcore who were lined up in outside Downing Street, where the police have cordoned it off this time, there was only a small percentage of the crowd the last weekend, but they were there, and they were there deliberately to try and antagonise the police and cause problems.
Please mind
There's a hardcore on both sides. That is the problem. Let's speak to Maurice McLeod. Maurice is a social commentator. He's the vice chair of race on the agenda. What do you make of today's protests and anti-protests, Maurice?
Good afternoon. It's confusing, to be honest.
It is,
Caution.
isn't it?
So
Please
much
watch
going
the
on,
speed
and
limit.
there's so many groups, even within the groups. So I know that within the Black Lives Matter movement, there's the sort of groundswell grassroots thing that's happened from Black Lives Matter. There's more established anti-racism bodies like Stand Up to Racism and what have you that also and Antifa that also exist. And there's a bit of a tussle maybe for the narrative, but the bottom line is that all of them are fighting for racial equality. Now, as you say, I'm not 1,000,000% certain what the football lads or whatever they're called are protesting for. I mean,
our last guest seemed to explain that they were a political movement.
I'm sure, like everything, nothing is black and white, is it? Nothing is, you can't use a broad brush with any of this stuff.
No.
And I'm sure there are some people within that movement and within, the side that I guess
Caution.
I'm on the Black Lives
Please
Matter
mind
side,
the speed
who
limit.
are political and are, I'm a local councillor, so there are people that are political. The vast, I believe, and I have no evidence for this because I've not done a survey, but the vast majority of even those among
Get
the
ready to
football
turn
lads
left.
probably don't think of themselves as racist. Probably think, well, no, I'm just a patriot, and these
Turn
people are
left.
threatening my Winston Churchill.
My
Winston
heritage.
Churchill's a hero, and they're
Recompute.
threatening him, and so there's an
Finding
element
a
of
new
that.
route.
I'd argue it's confused because no one. Yes, there's criticism of Winston Churchill, but no one was talking about tearing down that statue or anything like that.
Yeah.
It's just
What did you think
Never
when
mind.
they tore that statue
I'll
down?
find a new route.
The one in Bristol?
Yeah.
I have to say, and this probably isn't the diplomatic answer, that
Caution.
statue should have been
Please
down.
watch the speed
What I come back to is
Caution.
people go,
Please
how do
mind
you feel
the speed.
about, I'm really angry about criminal violence, and yeah, of course, if it's criminal violence, I can accept that.
Yeah.
But if you have more energy to be emotionally agitated about a statue of a slaver coming down, then you...
We're having a very lively conversation, as we often do on Saturday mornings, looking ahead to the programme. What we're going to talk about, trying to get a sort of feeling on both sides, arguments, counter-arguments, just so you can kind of try and replicate what's going to happen while I'm on air for 3 hours. And there was a very interesting discussion about...
Look of it.
Because I came from the point, I started from the standpoint saying, well, they had the chance democratically to vote whether or not to take that statue down, and time again they voted to keep it. But then someone said, yes, but if you're in a minority like black people in Bristol, you know, you're never going to win a democratic election like that. You're not going to win it, so that's the only alternative. And I thought, do you know what, you've got a point there.
But I mean, I can't believe I'm arguing this.
Caution. Please watch
You
the
can't
speed
have
limit.
a small group of people. You can have a small group of people say, oh, we hate Nelson Mandela and we want that statue to come down.
Yeah, I've
We
heard
hate
that.
it. And,
I've heard that.
And everything we do gets back, so we're going to rip it down with our bare hands. So
Yeah.
I can absolutely understand the argument, but I still... I mean, who the hell had heard of this guy before?
Exactly.
He came down? You know, I'm an anti-racist and I have been for my entire life. I'd never heard of him.
Yeah.
I have to be blatantly honest.
Yeah.
I've never heard of the guy.
Well, I mean, I was thinking about this week. I was thinking slave trade should now be on the national curriculum, if it's not already, and if it is, forgive me. But I don't remember being taught about the slave trade. Not that I did 19th century and 18th century history. I did 17th century history. But even so, no mention of it at all.
Driving a lorry.
There's a real movement, Ian, to change the national curriculum. I'm fully behind that.
Absolutely.
Caution. Please mind the speed.
Let's go down this
degree view of all of our, and I say our, advisedly, all of our history.
Yeah.
You know, my history as someone from Jamaica is tied to the British Empire.
I know, and everything we do, when you start looking at statues, they're all kind of
Please watch
Victorian,
the speed.
and even the Queen's official birthday today, and the pageantry in Windsor Castle, and even though it was socially distanced, you know, that's part of the Empire story that kind of a lot of people are proud of. Morris, listen, we've talked too much. A deadly
Please
sin on
mind
this radio
speed.
station. I've got to get to the news. Thank you so much for coming on. That was Maurice McLeod, social commentator, vice chair of Race on the Agenda. Right, goodness me, here we go again. Another huge afternoon with people all wanting to talk about this. Full switchboard. We will continue to talk about this as long as the interest continues. It's 3:30. Tim Humphrey has the headlines.
Hundreds of protesters have gathered in central London despite government requests for them to stay away because of fears of spreading COVID-19. Missiles have been thrown at police in Whitehall and Parliament Square. Trafalgar Square has been cordoned off. Officers have been given additional stop and search powers. Lines of police are also maintaining a divide between anti-racist activists and another group of people who've assembled at a war memorial in Brighton. Hundreds of protesters chanting Black Lives Matter are facing off against around 30 people near the memorial. There have also been counter-protests to an anti-racism march in Newcastle. There are fears of a new wave of coronavirus in China after infections were found in a district of Beijing. The cluster is centred around a major wholesale market. And the weather, rain along the east coast tonight with showers dying out elsewhere and a low of 9.
This is
Caution.
LBC.
Please watch the speed limit.
The unsung came from near and far. The cleaners who wipe away our worries. Friendly bank tellers and smiley delivery drivers. Here's to the healthcare workers who we'd hug if we could.
Please mind the speed.
We all hail the bus drivers and salute our frontliners. Local heroes, one and all. We're not an island. We are part of something far, far bigger. HSBC UK.
Get ready
Together,
to turn right.
we thrive.
As part of the plan to help London reopen carefully, safely and sustainably, TfL is making it easier and safer to walk and cycle more. We're asking all Londoners to do this wherever possible, saving space on public transport for those who must use it. Walking and cycling will also help improve London's air quality and is great for your mental and physical well-being. As part of the Street Space for London plan, we're working closely with London Boroughs and the City of London Corporation, changing town centres, building new cycleways and creating low-traffic neighbourhoods right across our city. Some streets will be converted to walking and cycling only, with others closed to all traffic apart from buses. This will create more space for social distancing when walking and cycling and help reduce road danger. To help boost safe and sustainable travel, more Santander cycles are available at key areas. To find out more, search Street Space for London. To the Mayor of London and TfL, every journey matters.
You need a strong, reliable Wi-Fi signal in every room. You need BT Complete Wi-Fi. And right now, you can save over £70 on Complete Wi-Fi and Superfast Fibre. Just $33.99 a month for 24 months with a $29.99 setup fee. But don't miss out. Offer ends 26th of June. For great value Wi-Fi in every room, guaranteed or £100 back. New customers. CPI increase each March. $44.99 from month 25. Up to 3 discs to guarantee Wi-Fi or £100 credit after 3 months. Pay direct debit. Terms apply.
This is LBC with Ian Payne. Call 0345 6060 973. Tweet at LBC. Text 84850.
So I'd particularly like to hear from anyone who feels that the counter-protesters, let's call them that, today, represent you. It doesn't necessarily mean you want to confront the police and have a fight. I'm saying, do they represent your feelings on this issue? Here's 2 texts, and it kind of gives both sides of the argument. Val says, hello Ian, regarding the far-right protests which are taking place today, again, you can call them far-right, but I know that's quite a pejorative term. What did everyone think would happen when the Black Lives Matter protesters started to pull down and deface our statues and street names? Are we just supposed to sit back and let this happen? The far-right protests would not have taken place if it were not for the actions of the Black Lives Matter. That's a view. On the other side is Meanie in Birmingham, who says, don't you question why you are debating the taking down of a statue of someone who committed mass murder, kidnap and rape? Doesn't that seem odd to you? To the phone lines. Here's Anne in Stafford. Hello, Anne.
Hi, Ian. How are you? Hope you're well.
Yeah, fine. What would you want to say?
Firstly, I am brimming with pride. My daughter's just been a marshal at the Stafford protest today, which was super well organised. It was a socially distanced, mask-wearing staff protest. There was a tiny bit of trouble at the beginning, but the police were fantastic, having liaised with the organisers, so they kind of knew what to expect. And I think these young people are going to be our future, and I am a veteran.
Caution. Please watch the
So
speed.
let me get this right, because maybe I should be able to guess. Which side are you on? So which protest was going on today?
Black Lives Matter.
Black Lives Matter. Fine, okay. And there were no counter demonstrations.
There was a tiny bit. There was a group set up by some chaps.
Keep right, and then exit right.
To try and sort of. I suppose they were kind of saying they were going to...
See, they've got nothing to do at the moment, have they? Pretty fair.
Well, that's it, you know, and I just think that the images I've seen in London
Turn
today,
right.
and these predominantly white, middle-aged, overweight men... Predominantly.
Absolutely exclusively, isn't it?
Yes, I'm being very kind.
Okay.
Do not represent me as a veteran.
Fine.
And the nasty salute at the Senate office, that's just not irony overload.
I don't know what that's about. I don't even... I wonder what the Queen would think. They're singing her name and they're doing that.
And her best friend who stood today, giving out bottles of water, extra masks from local businesses. It's been absolutely, that's how to behave.
Yeah,
Stafford, I'm not a Staffordian, I'm a Liverpool girl.
Staffordian.
But Stafford has done itself proud today.
Oh, well, let me ask you then. You're a Liverpudlian, yeah? So I did as I say, I went on a big educational journey this week, and I've learned so much about the slave trade, about you know, the protest movement, Martin Luther King, Rosa Parks. I mean, the whole thing right the way through. What do you think of Liverpool's past? If you go into the town hall in Liverpool, it is absolutely festooned with slave traders, all white, no black faces at all.
And I think ignorance is not an excuse to not be well educated and move forward. And I think we
Would you remove them all?
In a heartbeat. I think there's a place for them in history, and I think we need to educate our young people. And I think this is the big thing. These young people are open to dialogue. They are open to education. They don't want just a one-sided argument. They want to debate. They want to know other people's feelings, but they want to do it in
Okay, well, let me ask you another question. There was a big debate, and there was a question put to the mayor about Penny Lane. Now, Penny Lane obviously is a very famous landmark in Liverpool. The Beatles made it famous. There are rumours of, maybe more than rumours of, a link with the slave trade, with Penny of that name in that particular century. The mayor said no, it comes from something else. It's a grey area. Where do you stand on the sort of morality of removing a name of a slaver, but you're removing the name of a tourist attraction as well?
I don't necessarily think
go straight on.
It will change an awful lot. I think Penny Lane is Penny Lane. Yeah. Anyone that knows the city of Liverpool knows that part of Liverpool, knows there's a barber shop on the corner. I honestly do believe that we can, by trying to right the wrongs of our forefathers and our historians and things that have happened, make changes. I don't necessarily
go straight on.
Think that they need to be as dramatic as what's happening as far as changing street names. I think an education level, and maybe some signs next to the street sign saying the reason this name was given, but now we know.
Of course.
And I think
Please mind
doing and being better. And these young people, my daughter's got a first class honours degree. She went to university in Barcelona. She's got no prejudice, and she's all of her achievements in the world. Today has been
I quite like what they did in Glasgow recently, where they had some dubious street names. They didn't remove the street name, they put an alternative underneath it. I thought that's a great idea. Great idea.
It's education. And part of the problem that we've got with these people that are like down in London at the moment, they don't want to listen.
No. Please mind the speed.
Is having listening skills and empathy and understanding that your opinion is valid. But
no, absolutely.
The big issue I have at the moment
is
do you represent
dangerous.
Please watch the speed.
I'm very proud of that. And his father did 22 years, but I will not stand children.
Brilliant. Thank you very much. That's great phone call. Thank you, Anne. Yeah, my dad was in the RAF as well. I don't know, he certainly wouldn't associate with some of these people today. Also, there was a big debate. Did you realise where, right in the heart of all this, Trafalgar Square, which is kind of where we are, Nelson's Column, right slap bang in the centre of the empire, as it were. There was a big debate as to whether or not to remove Nelson's Column, the statue, as well. There's a relief at the bottom, which is basically kind of a brass or bronze sculpture, which shows the scene where Nelson's just been hit by the French shot in his head, and he's dying. Kiss me Hardy, and all that famous line in that. And there is a young black sailor in the corner of it, which no one ever mentions as well. And young black sailors were fighting on our behalf against the French as well, which often people forget. And people think that Nelson's Column should be removed because he sided with a friend of his who was a slave owner when Wilberforce was trying to change things. Anyway, there we are. See, I told you I've been on a journey. Let's go to AXA, who's in Walthamstow. Hello, AXA.
Hey.
Hi.
So
pushing
I
it now.
was
Pushing it.
watching the counter-protest today, and
Please
now
watch
on
the
social
speed.
media we just found out that someone in Bristol, a group of counter-protesters in Bristol, actually poured bleach on a black playwriter's statue.
Correct.
And it kind of just pulls, it just leaves them with no leg to stand on.
Yes.
Because, what was the point? It just showed your racist, you just aired your dirty laundry, for honest. What is left to justice?
This was a sort of pathetic attempt by a certain. Please don't think they represent white people. From a certain section of the society who just thinks, I'm going to get back at you. It's like people asking for Nelson Mandela's statue to come down because he was a terrorist, apparently, before he went into prison. I mean, he did advocate violence because he suddenly thought, well, peaceful protest isn't getting rid of apartheid, so we're going to have to do something, when he went to Robben Island and everything. So yeah, I saw that, but that was such a sort of minority. I didn't even know there was that statue there. And in fact, when he died, they kind of no one knew anything about him at all. He just hadn't made any kind of mark. So it was a good representative thing. And was that in Bristol? Did you say?
Mm-hmm. That was in Bristol.
So what do you think of what's happening today? What's going on?
Honestly, it just hurts my heart because I was born here, raised here. My dad was born here, raised here. But I'm Pakistani I'm a Pakistani immigrant, and I learnt the education system. I finished secondary school in 2015, so I'm a Gen Z student, and I was not taught any of this. We went through the whole when someone wrote Churchill was a racist, and I was like, oh, that was wrong. And then I googled it and looked up, and I was like, he's questionable. I wouldn't take his statue down.
Well, there was a suggestion, wasn't there, that he deliberately reserved food during the Bengali famine for the Brits and the Europeans, so that the Bengalis wouldn't actually get any food. Now, nobody is one colour, as it were, in terms of their life story and their history. There's good and darkness in all of us, and it's important that we get the full picture, isn't it?
Yeah, no, the thing is we need to change the way we teach our history. We can't say there are good people or bad people. We need to talk about how, like, the leaders of that time did good things and bad things, did, like, questionable things at that time. We need to talk about the grey area more. And I feel like this country doesn't like inappropriate talk, don't like uncomfortable talks. And, like, the thing is us as Gen Z, we love talking uncomfortably. Like, when it comes to, like, if you have, like, a racist uncle or, like, something that we'll just say it.
Yeah.
Like, well, you know that's racist, right?
Yeah.
Or, like, well, you know this is the fact. Or, like, if they say something, like, we'll just Google it. And
so what us white people have a problem with is being scared of using a phrase that would be offensive. So, I know lots of people who when they say the word black, they'll say it under their breath, just in case someone's listening and they might get upset, which is total nonsense. I hope it's total nonsense.
Oh, it is total nonsense.
What is the language of today? Is there a colour language of today that we can use or not?
The thing is, right, I don't know if you saw, like, the other day where people with snowflakes was trending on Twitter.
Yes.
The thing is that the whole point of it is you're allowed to say what you want. Anyone can say what they want. We have, freedom to talk.
Well,
but we also have freedom to talk back. Does that make sense? Ooh. Like, you can say your point, but then don't stop me from saying my point and busting your point. Like, I can say what I want, and I can hear everything you say, and I'm going to reply with facts.
Well, I think this is hopefully where we have moved on. I think we haven't moved on in many ways, but there are some ways. And looking at through history, some of the biggest riots.
Please
the
mind
burning of black neighbourhoods, the lynching of people, the guitaring and feathering, all these kind of things that happen. They always started when somebody perceived a black person to be getting above their station. It was always an incident. Someone attacked a white girl. She screamed this, assault, and the village would come down with their pitchforks and all that kind of thing. And you now you can talk back, can't you?
As in, like, it's like, I've noticed people who use that word snowflake are usually about stuff occurring. So it's like, who is the true snowflake? You can't have a conversation about this.
Absolutely.
It's usually like, oh look, they're taking my liberal rights.
Well, there's a great argument to be had about Oliver Cromwell. Oliver Cromwell's statue is the most prominent statue in the House of Parliament. I think it's fair to say. Right slap bang in your face.
Keep left,
anyone
and then
from Ireland
continue
who
straight
happens
on.
to be in Parliament Square will look at that man and think, what did you do to my country in Drogheda and Wexford and places like that? And rightly so. So again, you can't. I mean, we'd basically end up taking them all down, wouldn't we?
I mean, I don't think in my opinion, I don't think statues have a place for public. What's the point of a statue? If you don't know about the statue, it should be in a place where you can learn more about it.
Okay, well, maybe there should be more information on the plinth. I don't know, but I as I say, I cycle in and I take more. I'm more aware of statues and things now. But the one with Robert Clive, which is near Admiralty Arch, I think, you can't even read it. The sandstone has just been kind of eroded, and they need makeovers. Half of these statues, they're everywhere, and when you look at them, you suddenly realise, my God, they're all Victorians. The Victorians were obsessed with statues. They're everywhere. Look at the Albert Memorial. How much did that cost when he died?
Please watch the speed.
Don't answer that question on this, but just if you want to talk generally. 0345 60 973 is the number to ring. It's 13 to 4.
Nick Ferrari at breakfast. LBC. Shadow Chancellor Annalise Dodds.
Would you
reduce the 2-metre rule?
Given the situation with test, track and isolate and the lack of evidence about whether that is performing correctly, I personally would want to see much more information about that before I would want to be seeing, additional reopenings and removals of restrictions.
Nick Ferrari at breakfast. Weekday mornings from 7. LBC.
When your tenants have a burst pipe, superheroes crashing through the wall isn't going to help anyone. With Direct Line Landlord Emergency added to your policy, we're on it to send a rather super plumber in 4 hours and guarantee they'll use the doorbell. We can also assemble locksmiths, glaziers, electricians and drainage engineers. Search Direct Line Landlord Emergency. We're on it. Direct Line.
Residential properties. Optional add-on up to 1,500 per caller. Extreme weather conditions may extend response time. Underwritten by UK Insurance Limited.
We're out on mozzarella. Gianna, put Glavarni on my shopping list. Sorry, I didn't quite get
right.
that.
and then
Gianna,
exit right.
Add Galbani mozzarella to my shopping list.
Sorry, did you mean Galbani?
Yes, Galbani.
Did you mean Galbani, Italy's #1 mozzarella?
Yes, Galbanarni on my shopping list, please. Gianna?
Caution. Please
For
mind
Italian mozzarella, it's got to be Galbani.
I'm worried about buying from this website. There's no company details.
Buying online can be risky, but at Haynes Ford, we have been driving value since Ford arrived in 1911. Online or in-store, our friendly Ford experts can help you buy your next Ford car or commercial vehicle safely at a good price, arrange finance, and even deliver to your door. So for total peace of mind, click with us today at hainesford.co.uk. Always driving value.
This is LBC, leading Britain's conversation with Ian Payne.
Have you heard of
Caution.
a
Please
gentleman
mind
by the
the speed.
name of Emmett Till? I haven't until this week, and then found out what happened to him in Mississippi in 1955. I'm not going to go into it. It defies belief, frankly. Emmett Till. I'm sure loads of you listening saying, "Oh, come on, Ian. Of course you must have heard it." Honestly, I never
Please
have.
watch
And
the
also,
speed.
great news: Fawlty Towers German episode is going to be reinstated on UK TV. It was banned because they felt it was being anti-German and all the rest of it. And after a while, you kind of agree with John Cleese, who wrote a charming tweet to the BBC. If you've never seen it, then, where have you been? He said, "I would have hoped someone at the BBC would have understood that there are two ways of making fun of human behaviour. One is to attack it directly. The other is to have someone who is patently a figure of fun speak up on behalf of that behaviour. Think of Alf Garnett," he said. Right, let's go to James Goodison, who is in Trafalgar Square. All quiet on the Western Front, James?
Please mind the speed.
Ian, good afternoon. In the shadow of the National Gallery at the moment, there's about 400 Black Lives Matter protesters rammed into Trafalgar Square. Lots of different signs, kick racism out, decolonise the curriculum and things like that. In terms of whether it's looking dangerous at all, not really at all, but there is some chanting in the background that you might be able to hear. There is getting a bit higher energy than it has been over the past hour or so. Originally I was at Hyde Park, where the cancelled Black Lives Matter protest was supposed to begin, but still 100 people turned up there. There was talk that they were going to be marching, but the leaders of that march didn't want to, so we followed a group of about 40 people who felt like they wanted to march all the way down here to Trafalgar Square, where there have been loads of people who have all come together from the Black Lives Matter movement. I'm currently hemmed in between police. They have shields on them and helmets and everything else. They're currently blocking Pall Mall East Street, two lines of them, about 20 abreast, and then on the opposite side there's about 400 protesters slowly but surely pushing forward. It was quiet here. In fact, just as I'm speaking now, I can see 20, maybe 30 officers just running up from Whitehall to reinforce the line that's here. This was at the time, 20 minutes ago, I've been here, it was peaceful, people chanting, but a generally nice atmosphere, but it seems to have got a bit more sinister at the moment. Nothing, no sort of scraps at all, and of course here, no social distancing, everybody closed in. A lot more masks than I have seen at previous protests, but currently, yes, a big throng, 400 strong of Black Lives Matter protesters currently in a standoff with police.
Please mind the speed.
Okay, and have you felt any sort of antagonism towards you as a journalist?
No, not from any of the protesters here. I spoke to some of them at Hyde Park. They're very nice, happy to talk to me, happy to speak and tell me why, despite the cancellation by the Black Lives Matter movement, they felt like they had to come down here and march today. But no antagonising at the moment. I'm just being moved out of the way by about 30 police. They've come in with full-on riot shields now on Pall Mall East, just by the National Gallery.
So you're with about 400 Black Lives Matter protesters. Are there counter-protesters in the area as well?
No, they've been completely blocked off. Of course, Sean Matthew Thompson, my colleague, has been telling LBC that they've been down at Parliament Square. There's none in here at the moment at all. I would say that there are a few people wearing some veteran shirts who are currently sitting on Nelson's column. Of course, there was talking about some veterans feeling like they wanted to come down to Nelson's column to protect it from being graffitied or drawn on or vandalised in any such manner. But I'm just going to talk to you through, Ian, what I'm seeing right now. There's at least 40 or so police right outside of the National Gallery, the Sainsbury wing, of course, on the sort of left-hand side of Trafalgar Square by Pall Mall East. They're all lining up, protesters slowly but surely inching towards. There's people on the columns of the National Gallery as well, really high up, people all looking around. It feels quite tense. It wasn't like this 10 minutes or so ago, but it is very thronging, no social distancing, and that's where we are at the moment.
And from what you can gather, the Black Lives Matter people have been told don't protest today by the people who organised their protest. Why do they feel so strongly that they're actually courting trouble?
I think that they wanted to march. I think they felt like they were being defeated by the right-wing people who were in Parliament Square if they weren't going to march. They felt like it was almost defeat if they weren't going to. And there are a lot of placards that have been handed out to protesters by what I can only assume were organisers, saying things like "Don't let Tommy Robinson win" and things like that. So, well, I felt like they wanted to come down here today, Ian, regardless of what the organisers said. They felt like they had to, and I think they really wanted to keep up momentum. And to be honest with you, looking around me, there's 400 people here, lots of chanting.
Please
it certainly feels like they have.
Thank you very much indeed, James. Be safe. Lily Almond is LBC's reporter at the protest in presumably slightly quieter Welwyn Hatfield in Hertfordshire.
Ian, this was a really upbeat demonstration in Welwyn Garden City, especially compared to what we've just heard there in London. I mean, here people were dancing by the end of this protest. It was on a big patch of grass in the middle of a roundabout. So cars were beeping as they drove past, and much like many of the other protests that I've been to, Ian, local residents and representatives were giving speeches and talks about equality and the community. They did, of course, all also kneel at one point for 8 minutes and 46 seconds. I'd say ballpark around 1,000 people were there. I spoke with one of the organisers, Cassie, about what she wants people to take away from the event.
Carry it on, to not end it. Now we've gathered momentum to keep the posters up, to look at your school policies, to look at your work policies, to make sure that they're right, make sure they're up to date, and just keep the message going. Don't get stagnant. Don't forget to have conversations with people, and then turn right. If someone does say something unconsciously with unconscious bias, like you put them up on it. You educate them. Don't be like horrible. Don't be malicious or with it, but just educate them. Tell them what it's about, and try to have a conversation about it. And if you agree to disagree, you agree to disagree. You're adults, but start talking about it.
Go straight on.
Ian, here most people were wearing face masks or some kind of covering, and they were also generally following guidelines. People looked to be from all walks of life, and while there were a few police and some security on board, there were literally no signs of trouble at all throughout the whole entire event. After the last speech, they had a little dance to about 3 or 4 songs to the sound system. And then they all pretty quickly cleared away when the music was turned off.
Thank you very much indeed, Lee. A very British protest, I think. Can I apologise? Whenever I say something that's factually inaccurate, and if someone corrects me, I will always endeavour to try and correct myself on air. So when I said that the Fawlty Towers episode had been taken off the air for being anti-German, actually that's technically not true at all. Even though the BBC said it wouldn't comment specifically on why they were doing it, it did emerge, and The Guardian reported. Let me read what it says here. Spokesman for UK TV initially refused to clarify why the Fawlty Towers episode had been removed or whether the decision was permanent. However, following the publication of this article in The Guardian, they confirmed it was under review because the episode contains racial slurs. The original broadcast included a scene in which Major Cowan, a regular guest at the hotel, uses very strong racist language in relation to an anecdote about the West Indies cricket team. And it also features Fawlty's bigoted character apparently shocked at being treated in hospital by a black doctor. So forgive me if I've got the wrong end of the stick. I hope I've corrected myself. I believe that it's gone back on UK TV, but they've edited out the controversial bits. So the goose stepping apparently is okay. It is 3 minutes to 4. Let's fit in one more call, shall we, before we take the news. Steve's in Maida Vale. Hi, Steve.
Afternoon, Ian. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. What would you like to say?
Couple of points, Ian. The first point is, last weekend we saw Winston Churchill's statue desecrated. We saw the Union Jack being burnt. We didn't see the Black Lives Matter leaders like Gary McFarlane condemn those behaviours. So what did they think was going to be the response? That's the first point.
Yeah. But the statues are protected today, so there's no need to come for that reason.
Ian, I get that, but in Australia they protected their statue. The police allowed that to happen. What did they think was going to happen?
Yeah, no, I understand that. I do understand that. Do you feel that some of the people who are here today have kind of used that as an excuse to come down and basically try and antagonise the police or whoever happens to be there?
Ian, there's not an excuse. Last weekend, social distancing ended. Like, they just allowed all of this to happen. The problem is, once the precedent's been set by these people, then it's going to fuel the division. You know, there's proper debates to be had about all of these things. Statues, the past.
How would you answer that? Let me ask you a question that's been posed by one of our listeners, who says that why are you mincing your words, LBC? If a counter-protest to an anti-racist movement, it is definitely a pro-racist movement or protest, is it not?
Ian, it's not. Ian, it's a direct response. It's a direct response to burning the Union Jack. People are not going to stand around and allow that to happen passively. What do they think is honestly going to happen? Winston Churchill, we would be having this conversation in German if it wasn't for that person.
I've heard that before. Very, very quickly then, what do you think happens next?
Well, we need calm. We need calm from everybody. We need the leaders to come out and condemn violent protests on both sides of the fence.
Exit
and just one more
now.
thing.
Yes.
Dominic Cummings got savaged by the left-wing media, the BBC, for his trip. Barry Gardner comes out last weekend, kneeling on the ground. Forget social distancing. The left wing just are happy with that.
Okay, but listen. If that's why our journalists are being attacked because we're not reporting that. I mean, I still don't think it justifies that sort of thing. But I mean, I don't know. It's like the Stephen Kinnock incident as well. Anyway, loads more of this to come. It's fascinating stuff. It is exactly 4 o'clock. Here's Tim Humphrey.
On your radio, on Global Player, and
Play LBC.
Leading Britain's conversation. This is LBC.
From Global's newsroom, I'm Tim Humphrey. Hundreds of people have gathered in central London, with many centred around the Cenotaph in Whitehall. A large crowd of demonstrators have been singing the national anthem, many wearing military-style hats or jackets. Missiles have been thrown at police, who have cordoned off Trafalgar Square. They've also issued a Section 60 order giving officers increased stop-and-search powers on the streets and at 60 railway stations in the capital. The group say they've come to London against police and political advice to protect statues which were defaced by Black Lives Matter demonstrators last weekend. An anti-racism march, which was scheduled to take place between Hyde Park and Parliament, has been cancelled, but many have still gathered in the park, saying their voices need to be heard.
Nearly 50% of my daughter's friends are black or mixed race. I want her to grow up in a society where everyone's treated equal and everyone has humanity and everyone treats everybody with respect and has humility.
Many other towns and cities have seen Black Lives Matter marches, with demonstrators being confronted by counter-protests in Newcastle and Brighton. In Barry, in South Wales, Louis Williams spoke to those who gathered and told them there was a massive lack of diversity in the town.
I wanted to bring this to people's attention and ask them to please take to their social media platforms and realise that being or not being a racist simply isn't enough. You need to be visually and vocally anti-racist and be out there declaring the message that Black Lives Matter.
There's a further easing of coronavirus lockdown restrictions in England and Northern Ireland from today. People living alone or lone parents with children under 18 can visit one other household indoors and stay overnight without social distancing in what are called support bubbles. Bethany Pike is a single parent who, along with a young daughter, can now stay at her mother's house where they won't have to obey the 2-metre rule. She says it's human contact she's missed the most.
We've all been keeping in touch with technology, like thank God for social media, but actually physically being able to hugging, playing, just all of that stuff, it's those little things that are going to be the best and most cherished.
Brazil has overtaken the UK and now has the second highest number of coronavirus-related deaths in the world, behind the United States. More than 41,800 people have now died in Brazil, which also has the second highest number of infections. And the weather, rain along the east coast tonight, but showers dying out elsewhere, a low of 9. Cloudy in the east tomorrow, showers in the north, but sunshine in the south and west, and a high of 22. From Global's newsroom, you're up to date.
This is LBC from Global, leading Britain's conversation with Ian Payne.
So just seeing some more pictures in the last few minutes where there's a line of police, and they've cordoned off Whitehall so protesters can't get to the Cenotaph and Downing Street, if you know your central London. And they've got this barricade of metal barriers in between the line of police and the counter protesters, as we're calling it. And the counter protesters just you know that thing where you take your shirt off and you sort of stretch your arms out wide and sort of looking at someone saying, "Come on, then, come on, then." You think, what are you just deliberately
Please mind
provoking?
speed.
Just like last weekend, there were people deliberately provoking the police as well.
Keep right,
all gathering to take photos
and then
or something.
turn
I don't know
right.
what that is. Anyway, 0345 6060 973 is the number to ring if you'd like to
Turn
comment
right.
on what you're
Fucking
hearing about
blighted.
today, or just the whole argument. I really think this has been an important couple of weeks in this country. I think it's probably in America, but here I do feel, I don't know, I sense a turning of the tide. Is the guest ready? Can we go to Mercy? Let's speak to Mercy Muroki. He's social policy researcher at the Centre for Social Justice and political commentator as well. Thanks very much for talking to us, Mercy. Do you feel the need to protest ever? What do you make of what you're hearing about today?
Well, I'm really shocked and
Get ready
disappointed
to
at the
turn
things
left.
we've seen of the violence towards the police. It really does look like, whereas, I have my
Turn
critiques
left.
about the Black Lives Matter movement and the organisation and some of the scenes we saw about the protests, but it does very much feel like a lot of the protesting that was going on there was far more legitimate and peaceful than this counter-protest.
Oh, I don't know. I mean, I think that if you'd seen the scenes that I saw at sort of 6 o'clock last Sunday, and that was pretty
Keep
horrific.
right,
And then the
and
police
then turn
officer
right.
who got hit when she was on her horse and hit the traffic.
Sure.
I mean, it was pretty nasty.
Turn right.
Yeah, it is nasty, and I think the issue with this one is that so many of these people are on the far right, the people who ordinary man and woman in Britain wouldn't condone. And with some of the videos that are kind of circulating from it, I think I've just seen somebody doing a Nazi salute and things like that. Those kinds of things are really kind of going to make this whole thing even more toxic than it already was.
Okay. What were your criticisms of the Black Lives Matter movement then?
So my criticism is of Black Lives Matter UK as an organisation and what they want, because I don't believe their stated aims are actually conducive to racial progress and reducing racial inequality.
So you're a black woman yourself living in Britain, and you're saying Black Lives Matter is not doing it the right way?
Yeah, so, for example, I have said this a few times, they want to abolish capitalism, so they want to dismantle capitalism, and I think that's to suggest that somehow black people will be served.
Yeah, no, I get that, and I've heard similar sentiments from certain right-wing commentators who maybe don't work here anymore, but I just wonder whether or not, the overall Black Lives Matter message isn't really one of deconstructing capitalism or defunding the police. It's actually trying to make society a bit fairer.
Yeah, absolutely, and that is what we should be focusing on, and so much of our attention has been drawn away from those kinds of sensible discussions, especially with all this stuff about tearing down statues. I mean, it just seems to really be focusing on very trivial issues, actually, when in the grand scheme of what the issues that black people face in today's society.
Thank you very much for talking to us, Mercy. That's Mercy Muroki, who's a social policy researcher at the Centre for Social Justice and a political commentator as well. I'm just looking at more pictures. There are definitely a lot of Black Lives Matter, or are they just... I think they sort of merged into an anti-racist demonstration, and they're down by the Houses of Parliament now, and it's definitely getting a bit more lively because there's a lot more people from the anti-racism side have now appeared in the area, and I'm just hoping that the police can keep them apart. We'll try and speak to Matthew at some point to find out what's happening on the ground, and also to James Goodison, who's in Trafalgar Square as well. But there's definitely a larger presence of the anti-racist campaigners as well on the street. So anyway, let's hope it doesn't get out of hand. Mark's in Sheffield. Hello, Mark.
Hiya, how are you?
I'm all right, thanks. What's going on? What do you think?
I'd like to perhaps say how disappointed I am with the media's coverage of this over the last few weeks.
Okay.
I think that it's been almost unanimously pro-Black Lives Matter movement.
And that's not a good thing.
Almost unanimously. And a few weeks ago, do you know what? I'd have supported that. But in the last few weeks, I am no longer supporting this movement. And I'm a person who's donated to Kick It Out in football. I'm a football fan. I've donated to anti-racist causes. I'm completely anti-racist. But just because people are rightly frustrated that our memorials, my granddad's name is on that war memorial for Senator, and your reporter even just then, when he was covering it, called me right-wing. He called those people down there right-wing who were at the war memorial.
Well, I've been stressing that... Yeah, no, I'm not saying everyone down there is right-wing, and I understand...
Your reporter did, and he's got a platform to provide balance.
Fine, and we'll have a word, don't worry.
Down there right-wing.
Yeah.
And what do you think that's going to do to the average person? It's going to make them angry, isn't it?
So what was the moment when you thought our coverage became too one-sided?
Well, I knew as soon as I heard there's going to be counter-protests protecting the war memorial, they'll be labelled right-wing or far-right. And lo and behold, all the media coverage about those counter-protesters, the word right-wingers come into it. At no point have I seen anywhere in the mainstream media call those Black Lives Matter protesters far-left. Nowhere.
Oh, I've heard a lot about that. And I've also heard about that hardcore the hardcore of people who are antagonising the police and the police officer who hit the traffic light. You know, they are just as bad as the people who are trying to antagonise the police on the other side today. I make no bones in criticising both of them. The vast majority, though, are peaceful.
I agree, and those protecting the cenotaph are as well.
I'm not so sure, you know. I'll be honest. From what the pictures I've seen, there are a lot of them. And
my 75-year-old uncle's down there. He's not far right.
Fine, I'm not saying he is. I'm not saying everyone is, but I'm saying there's a lot of people there who want trouble.
Oh, yeah.
Go straight up.
Yes, absolutely.
I think that's the balance that hasn't been provided.
Okay.
Because as soon as there was a counter-protest announced, the word far right was labelled all over it.
Yeah.
Tommy Robinson's not even down there.
Do you think? Well, we had a professor who studies these sort of things, and he said without any hesitation that a lot of people who are there defending the statues are actually there because they are far right political activists.
There will be.
Yeah.
There'll be some.
Good.
But how can you say though a lot of people that are there? That's making out
let's
as
find a new route.
Because you look at the number of people who are antagonising the police, who are knocking... I mean, the Black Lives Matter... No journalists had their phones knocked out of their hands, or, you know, Matthew was saying he was almost dragged away by this group. For God's sake.
Excuse me.
You can't defend that, can you?
I don't know.
Good.
But on both sides.
No, of course. But to be fair, that journalists were not intimidated last weekend. They just weren't.
Okay, but 49 police officers was injured. When was the last time any peaceful demonstration ended with 49 police officers injured?
As I've said to you, and I will repeat it for the third time, there was a hard group of people from the far left, maybe, but wherever they were from, who were there deliberately to cause anarchy. And I'm in no way trying to forgive them for what they did. The vast majority, though, were fine, and none of them attacked journalists. This weekend, it's different. Yes, of course you can. This is the whole point of this programme. We want to hear every side to this because it's complicated.
One final point.
Yeah.
I am completely now against Black Lives Matter. However,
don't be.
I have been targeted for saying all lives matter. I've been said, no, they don't. All lives matter.
No, listen. Let me try. I'm not going to be a teacher here, but just if nothing else from this conversation happens apart from this, then we've achieved something. Don't have a go at Black Lives Matter. Have a go at the radical faction within Black Lives Matter that do want chaos, anarchy, They want to dismantle capitalism. They want to defund the police. But it's a very small, hardcore centre part of that organisation. The vast majority just want to be able to get a job like a white person.
Yes, but the Black Lives Matter movement literally has said they want to overthrow capitalism.
I know, but you're not listening to me. There's a very hardcore, small part of the Black Lives Matter movement that wants exactly that. And when Nigel Farage talked about that on the telly the other day, that was his belief. But the giant majority of people who have allied themselves to Black Lives Matter are people who just want society to give them an equal chance.
To support any other racism campaign then that isn't political, that doesn't want to...
Well, I'm sure a lot of them are affiliated to that. It's just that the Black Lives Matters movement is very, very organic. It's very, very lively. And if they're going to organise things and people are going to attach themselves, don't blame everybody just because the people who are organising it right at the centre are, in some cases, a bunch of thugs.
Well, they are.
Yeah, so there we go. Have we got somewhere?
We have got somewhere.
Good. Excellent. Mark, not at all. Absolutely. Any time you want to ring up, just ring up and have your say. 0345 6060973. Let me read out some texts before we go to the break. I'm just looking at the pictures. Seems quiet now. Oh no, that's Windsor. No wonder it's quiet. Oh, beautiful. Beautiful tunics, though. If these far-right protesters doing Nazi salutes near the cenotaph represent more than 1 in 1,000 people in Britain, we are in deep trouble as a society.
Keep
uneducated
left,
thugs.
and then turn left.
I cannot believe that. Is that actually illegal to do a Nazi salute in public? I'm wondering whether that's actually unlawful. Ian, some of these people remind me of the Brexit supporters who still hurl insults at anyone who still supports Europe. If this is what getting our country back represents, I'd rather leave. We are not going to discuss remain or leave. I'm sorry. In Manchester, Moseley Road is named after Edward Moseley, leader of the British Fascist Party. The road is situated in one of the most diversified areas of Manchester, near the university. Should this be renamed? Do we rename most of the roads in the UK? Maybe we need to know all our history in better detail, says Jonathan in Manchester. And that's why I think this last fortnight has been absolutely pivotal and vital in our understanding of our history, because I've learned things I never knew anything about. 0345 6060 973. Have you heard of the Clapham sect? Look that one up. They basically changed slavery in this country and ended it for good. It's 4:15.
This is LBC.
As part of the plan to help London reopen carefully, safely and sustainably, TfL is making it easier and safer to walk and cycle more. We're asking all Londoners to do this wherever possible, saving space on public transport for those who must use it. Walking and cycling will also help improve London's air quality and is great for your mental and physical well-being. As part of the Street Space for London plan, we're working closely with London Boroughs and the City of London Corporation, changing town centres, building new cycleways and creating low-traffic neighbourhoods right across our city. Some streets will be converted to walking and cycling only, with others closed to all traffic apart from buses. This will create more space for social distancing when walking and cycling and help reduce road danger. To help boost safe and sustainable travel, more Santander cycles are available at key areas. To find out more, search Street Space for London. To the Mayor of London and TfL, every journey matters.
Tonight, it's a Lotto double rollover. Don't miss out. Play your numbers online or on the app today. Lotto from the National Lottery. Your numbers make amazing happen. Rules and procedures apply. Players must be 16 or over.
Step aside, ma'am. I'll rescue your cat from that medium-sized tree.
Unfortunately, Pension B can't make you superhero confident, but we can transfer most old pensions together into one simple online plan that's managed by one of the world's largest money managers for pension peace of mind.
Ma'am, could you call the fire brigade, please?
Be pension confident. Download the app or visit pensionb.com to sign up.
Authorised and regulated by the Financial Conduct Authority. Capital at risk.
This is LBC. with Ian Payne.
OK, Ian, I was following an Australian news reporter live last weekend in London, and the poor man had to run for his life from Black Lives Matter supporters. This is an eyewitness account. I can't verify it, I'm sorry. A female reporter was assaulted and screamed live on air. So don't you dare say no journalists were attacked at Black Lives Matter
and
marches.
then
I think you're thinking the
straight
Australian journalist who someone approached her with a screwdriver
Goes
with
straight
a
on.
sort of cry of Arabic. I think that was it. Was that part of the Black Lives Matter movement? I'm not sure, to be honest. That person was arrested anyway. I don't think it's got anything to do with Black Lives Matter, but, as I say, wasn't there. I can't verify it. I'm not inside that guy's head. 0345 6060973. I suppose I have two questions. One, why are the people who are counter-protesting today attacking the police? Don't understand that. Because the police are just trying to do what you're doing, aren't they? Aren't they protecting monuments as well? Isn't that their job? So that's my first question. And the second question is, what have we learnt about our society in the last 2 weeks? I think we've learnt a lot. Whether there'll be any change, I don't know. I hope there will. 0345 6060973. So if you're listening, why are the counter-protesters today attacking the police? And what has the last couple of weeks a different perspective on our history, I suppose, has the last couple of weeks done? Something like that. So it feels like we've done something very important. I might be wrong. Faisal's in Thurrock. Hello, Faisal.
Hello, Ian. Thank you for taking my call.
Pleasure.
Hi, I just wanted to call up because I'm still currently in London as we speak, but I felt
keep right
for me to go
and then
see
continue straight
the
on.
other protests, because of course I support the Black Lives Matter protest, being a black person myself, but I felt
Go
it was
straight
important
on.
to just witness it, and I just wanted to give you a first-hand experience of what I saw. I was behind the police cordon. I saw young people chanting. I saw young white people predominantly chanting.
Caution.
But also
Please
what
mind
I found
the
really
speed
ironic and hypocritical is when they wanted to go home, they were breaching the gates of Westminster Abbey, jumping over the fences.
Please watch the speed
taking videos, slapping on the walls, throwing their beer cans on the grass.
These are the counter-protesters, today's protesters, yes?
Yes.
Right.
Yes, the people that say they want to protect the British history and we can't ruin it. And if you go look at the grass at Westminster Abbey now, it's littered full with cans.
Bottles of vodka as well, which were polished off on the train.
To me, this protest is all about violence, and I witnessed.
Well, be careful when you say things like that. I've got to tread a path nearer the middle here, because there are definitely people on both sides who are looking for trouble. There may be more percentage-wise with today's.
Keep
I don't
right
know. It would be difficult
and
to
then
say.
continue straight on.
What I'm interested in is this allegation from. I can't even say the
Go
right.
straight
But
on.
anyway, the people who oppose Black Lives Matter, who say it is a political movement, just like they're saying the counter-protesters are today. There's very little difference between. They're just on the other side of the divide. They want to destabilise the capitalism. They want anarchy, and they want to defund the police. Do you recognise that as a Black Lives Matter supporter?
Me personally, those aren't the reasons that I'm a Black Lives.
Fine, good. That's
like the majority of them.
Yes.
But you see, with this protest, the counter-protest here, there's political functions all involved, their own political agendas. But some of these people do just want to protect the monuments, and I respect them for that. But what I noticed today, a poor young student had his face punched and his glasses broken and his face cut open, come running and crying to us. That isn't right. That isn't acceptable for anything. In any protest, and I would never stand up for any violence, and I don't stand up for violence at the Black Lives Matter one last week. But what you're seeing here is it's happening much sooner. There isn't a breakaway of those people that are. The difference between the two protests is that you had your peaceful protest, and then they broke.
This is a lunchtime punch up rather than a tea time one. Yeah. No, I know what you're saying. And part of me does agree with you. Faisal, thank you very much for your call. Keep listening. You still don't get it, do you, Ian? Says Paul in Devon. Your
Keep
report
left
of being hassled is
and
because
then
almost
continue
all
straight on.
mainstream media reporters have been pushing left-wing lies. Outside of cities,
Go straight
we
on.
have had a gutful of your lies over the years. Very few Brits trust British media anymore, in brackets, that's you, son, and rightly so. Look at today. LBC has constantly referred to the counter-protesters as far-right. That's not true. I've made a conscious decision not to call them far-right. With no evidence, you just can't help yourselves, can you? Paul, the reason why people are referring to this group as far-right, if you have a professor of extreme politics, of neo-Nazi philosophy, who's devoted his whole life to studying people, who's on websites, who's on the line every single day studying this behaviour, who says quite categorically, without any hesitation, that a lot of today's group are politically right-wing groups, and that is their motivation. What am I supposed to do? Just say, oh, Professor, you're talking rubbish. No idea what you're talking about. You know, occasionally you have to believe an expert. 0345 60 60 973. I'm not saying every member of this counter-protest is a far-right activist. What I am saying is that there's this kind of... I remember going to England away fans, football, when I used to be a football reporter. There was always this air of menace. There was a small group of them who just wanted to have a fight. And they would just pick up chairs in bars and throw at the police,
left.
and there would be no reason for it. And then they started singing that, you know, no surrender to the IRA. And I remember I summoned up the courage to ask one of these guys why he was singing no surrender to the IRA. And I thought he was going to kill me and headbutt me. That's why there's a lot of people within that movement who are a problem. And you have to see that.
Get ready
don't
to
you?
turn left.
0345 60 60 973. Holly says, Ian, I love the show, but I don't
Turn
understand.
left.
The far-right protesters are doing Nazi signs, but are there to protect statues like Winston Churchill, who was anti-Nazi. Confused.com just shows you it's getting mad in here. Well, I know, and I think the Nazi salute isn't so much anything to do with Churchill. It's purely aimed at Black Lives Matter, saying, actually, your lives don't. Jerry's in Las Vegas. Woo-hoo. Vegas, Nevada. Hello, Jerry.
Yeah. You sound like you're quite impressed with the sound of that name, but...
Yeah. It's the Killers, man. That's where they're from.
Get ready to turn right.
Come on. Anyway, on you go.
I think some of what you're saying, you're trying to apply a balanced argument, and then on the left, you've got the left, then you have the extreme left, which the media does seem reluctant to say that, and on the right, you have genuine people who are appalled by what they're seeing, and then of course they're going to be infiltrated by the extreme right. So do we agree upon that?
Right. I said both sides have got this hardcore of extremists who want trouble.
Yeah, but I think the trouble is with the media, you do tend to see a focus on one side all the time.
I understand what the Black Lives Matter and indeed all anti-racist movements want. They want equality. They want a fair crack of the whip. They want some possessions. They want equality when it comes to housing, when it comes to education, when it comes to the criminal justice system. What do the people protecting the statues want?
Well, they want the same.
No, they don't. What do you mean?
You're talking about human rights. Human rights is not monopolised by one side.
I'm not saying it is.
Rights.
So what are you saying? That you think the society's fair and these people just want the same
Everyone wants the same thing. There's just certain people, albeit in this country, where BLM where first started out, seem to think they've monopolised. Because, Ian, you've got to understand, I'm working this morning, I've got a break, and I was standing outside, and these black people, you see them walking around, good morning. Not every black person in the United States agrees with them.
Agrees with who?
The way the media is presenting that.
Yes.
Like, I could give you examples too, if you allow me for a moment to give you a couple of examples.
Let me just give you one example before I allow you. So forgive me, but I've worked for this radio station for 8 or 9 years, and every time I've done a phone-in about racism, every single black person that I've spoken to, or person of colour, has got an example of where somebody treated them differently because of their colour of their skin, and normally in a detrimental way. Are you saying to me in America that doesn't happen?
Of course it happens, but you could... right, let me just give you two examples of situations.
All right.
If you allow me, you know what I mean?
Yeah, go for it.
I'm not going to be... Right. A very specific situation, which is not... 3 years ago, Australian